Hey, Chamber members, Alan Waters here, your Director of Marketing Communication at the Montgomery County Chamber of Commerce and your Words of Wisdom podcast. And today I'm joined by
Brooke Brinson from Ed Ethel's Fine Jewelry and
Chase Brinson from Ed Ethel's Fine Jewelry.
Welcome. So this is second episode, if I'm not wrong.
Correct.
You are correct.
Great. So the first time I always ask people, what does success mean to you? When we get to the second one, that's when I generally ask, since last time we talked, have been there anything that has shifted your views on success? Anything that has impacted just the way you approach things that you've kind of learned or seen or grown from?
That's a good question.
yes.
I think the last time we spoke was about 6 months ago.
Yeah.
If I remember correctly. It's been a very hectic 6 months. And as far as, for me, my view is time management. Time management. And the busier you get and the more successful you are, the more important that becomes.
Yeah.
And I've noticed, when my time management is poor, my stress level is high. Mm-hmm. When my time management is on par, my stress level is much lower. So as a business owner, a husband, a father, those are, you have to prioritize everything. And time management is the key to that.
And do you have any tips, tricks, or things you do? So for me, if anyone comes in my office, you'll see 4 notepads across my keyboard. And that's where I make my list of things to do. That's the only way. People are like, hey, you can put it on Google. You can do those things. And I'm like, if it's not written out in front of me, I won't do it. So what do you do to help with your time management, to help with the tasks you've got coming up, all of that stuff?
I'm very similar that I have found I need to write it down. We recently tried Google Calendar. We thought, let's go to a digital calendar where we can get notifications. And that is nice, but I found it doesn't work as well for me. I need to write it down. I need to have a physical planner that I can pick up and look at. So that's my secret.
I've always been more of the hybrid focus, where it's some digital, primarily paper. But for my brain, this is old school. I learned this over a decade ago, but you have big rock, small rock, gravel. And if it's a big rock, man, that's a hot button issue and it needs to be taken care of within the next 24 hours. You got to, your small rock, you got a 3-4 day time frame. Gravel, you're like, when I get to it, I get to it. But that's how my brain processes these tasks. But also I've learned that sometimes your gravel can turn into a big rock if you put it off too long. But that's just kind of how I process that.
Yeah. I'm one of those people that I tend to procrastinate, and then all of a sudden a lot of work gets done really fast.
Ditto.
But yeah, that's my system too. Kind of not the big rock, but I've got one notepad that'll be, all right, these are the things I'm completing today. These are the things that I'm completing this week. These are the things that are this month. And the other is just oh my God. Yeah, I'm really bad with the Google Calendar.
Well, I felt like the Google Calendar almost added another task. And you're like, oh, well, I need to do this, but let me take 5 minutes and put it on my calendar. And a lot of times, if it's something small, you're like, dude, if I just took the 5 minutes instead of putting it on the calendar, I could have done it.
That's how I feel sometimes when someone sends me an email and it's like, hey, could you reach out to so-and-so? And I'm like, by the time I got that email, you could have done that. You were sending. But yeah, I also feel like with the Google calendars, there's a certain way you have to set it up to do the reminders at a right time.
Yes.
Because for mine, if I get that notification half an hour before, I'm most often like, oh, I forgot. Great, I'll take care of it. But yeah. So what's been going on these past 6 months? What have y'all been doing? What's been the crazy stuff that people need to know about?
Well, we've gone to some jewelry shows. With that being said, we in turn then wanted to expand our merchandise selection. So we have added, 8 feet of case space to the store, which that's been done recently, but still it was quite the task. And we also added another fashion line, Kendra Scott. So in combination between the two things, that's just a portion of what we've had going on, but
Yes, definitely. Yep. So really a facelift in the store, not just more case space, but trying to make it much more client friendly and organized. And And the Kendra Scott is exciting. I know that there are a lot of lady chamber members that wear and love Kendra Scott. So that is at the store now being set up. We are going to have a launch party soon. So stay tuned for our to our social media for that.
How do those fashion things kind of come about? Because obviously so much of that, I feel like any retail is trend based. It is one, I know nothing about jewelry, so can you tell me what Kendra Scott is, all of that, but like when does that kind of cyclical nature start to take place, where you see things that used to be in style are not in style anymore, but sometimes they come back around? How do y'all deal with that?
That's a really good question. Part of it is the agility that we have within our business and how we're able to pivot, on trend, off trend. But you also carry a diverse selection of stuff that's really hot, really on trend right now. And I don't want to sound terrible, but you ride that wave. Mm-hmm. You ride that wave while it's there. And then when it tapers off, if you decrease your merchandise selection a little, but still carry it, if it is still something that people are wearing. The other thing you do is just continuous education to stay on top of the trends. That's something Brooke and I really pride ourselves on, is trying to kind of keep our finger on the pulse of the industry. So that way we do know, like, hey, this is on trend, and we may see that in 6 months from now that it's a possibility that it may not be. So then we kind of start looking for what's the new next thing that we can bring to the New River Valley.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very true. And not only is it education and jewelry shows and networking with our fellow jewelers, but of course today a lot of these trends are happening on TikTok or Instagram, which we are a little old for being fully immersed in that. Not that we're old, but luckily I have a sister and a cousin who are always on top of those things. So honestly, that is a key to knowing what is hot out there in the jewelry world, is our family members that are up to date on those things and fill us in on, hey, I've seen this on TikTok. This seems to be, going really well, or it's up and coming. And so then we look into it.
Well, the other thing, we also now have a college-aged intern, which has really helped as far as, with our social media images, what's appealing to the younger demographic. Like, we can help with the 30-somethings. Like, that's no problem. We are 30-somethings. But, 10-year difference between consumer base now and today's age is like, we're light years apart. So having her as well has really, really helped.
Yeah, I've seen that on the wedding industry side too. Wife is a videographer, photographer, but I'm seeing a lot of people more gravitate now towards content creators instead of doing a videographer for their wedding day, because they want it captured behind the scenes, almost more of that doing the dances, all of those things. And it was interesting to see what that shift was, because that's just not me. I'm not that person. But there is that generational divide that you have to bridge no matter what is going on if you want to keep staying in business. So I like to see that y'all are doing that and getting up there and seeing those pieces. Has there been anything that you've seen in the past few years that got really, really popular and then just fell off really, really fast?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. It's several things, really. So I've been in the industry since when Pandora got massive. I mean, Pandora was a behemoth. Not to say that they're not still an industry giant today, but they are not what they used to be.
Right.
The other thing, when we worked for Signet, their Ever Us, it was like here one year and gone the next. It was, you couldn't keep them in stock, and the next thing it was gone. And it's the one thing, real trend thing that was started by De Beers years ago is the past, present, and future 3-diamond ring. That is still popular. It's not what it once was, but it's almost ingrained as a staple now. So I wouldn't really even call it a trend. It's one of those things we'll actually build into a presentation, like, hey, it's your 5-year anniversary. Have you thought of doing this, or your 10 years, so on and so forth. But Pandora and the Ever Us, man, those puppies, they burned hot and bright for a really short period of time.
Do you think the lab-grown diamond piece, is that something that's based on trend, or do you think that's something that now is ingrained, we will never see go away?
I don't think it'll ever go away, personally.
I don't either.
I think it's been very popular. We have started to see a little transition in the market where we're getting back to that. Well, people are still coming in for natural diamonds. Like, we've never stopped selling natural diamonds. We have everything in natural the same way we do in lab grown. But we're starting to see, it used to be a little heavier lab grown. Now we're starting to see a little heavier natural. There's a lot to be said to both. There's pros and cons to each, but cat's out of the bag, buddy. That one's not going in.
Yeah. And so I'm asking this largely someone who is also, wedding industry related. Have you seen any adjustments to 2025 for things for you? Because I've seen across the other wedding industry vendors and things that people have seen a large dip in what they're looking at for next year. Has that been something you've seen?
People are still getting engaged for sure. So engagements, as far as our little corner of the world, have not slowed down. However, a lot of our engagements from this year and even into last year are having much longer engagements. So a lot of customers who are planning to get married in 2026, or we even have some that have no plans as of right now. They're going to see how things go, and they may be looking towards 2027, 2028. So it's definitely a very interesting shift.
Yeah. And I think that plays into it. It's two parts, maybe. One could be economics, right? But the other part, too, I think it's just younger people aren't so pressed about getting married.
Yeah.
Which, I don't have any problems with, and I think to each their own. I don't see, if you enjoy each other, you want to get engaged because that's the next step. But then you're like, man, we have no real desire to have this big wedding and this whole production about it. I don't see any problem with that, but I could definitely see how other folks in the wedding industry that is making an impact on them. And that we've also seen where people are starting to put more colored stones as the center stone in their engagement ring. And it's more of like, hey, this won't last forever, but right now and today, this is what they love, and that's what they're doing. It's a little more impulsive, but they're like, it's not permanent. I can always get another ring, which is truthful.
That's true. Yeah, I mean, Rachel's has got sapphires as the main stone, so yeah. It's interesting to me because you're obviously one of the first steps people will make, and before they're technically even on their journey through weddings. How often do you see it now that you've got people coming in and choosing that engagement ring without some kind of clarity about what engagement ring they're choosing?
Oh, I hope, I feel so bad when there's a young guy comes in or a young girl comes in and they're like, I have no idea. I want a surprise. And I'm like, what? Like, dude, have you not heard of Pinterest? There's like a million social media things out there, like Google. Like,
yeah.
I mean, there's got to be something where you have an inkling of an idea, but it happens once, maybe twice a year now. It's really uncommon.
It is uncommon, but that's sort of my specialty because the first thing I'll do is I will say, can I see her Instagram, her Facebook? Does she have a Pinterest? Basically, let me stalk her for a few minutes here, and then I will have an idea. Truly, that is what it is. So it always ends up okay.
Yeah.
But yes, Chase is dying laughing at this.
You sound like a creeper. Let me stalk her for a few minutes.
It's true. The ladies know
yeah,
about the social media stalking.
And I feel like, and not to say, I mean, obviously it's the love behind things, but like, love can get tested real quick if you get something that's just not in their style of ring.
Oh, it's so uncomfortable from our side. Like, because we've had it happen before.
We have.
Not so much here, but earlier in my career, especially when Pinterest wasn't as prevalent, we'd have a young lady come in and she'd go, I got engaged. And, oh, we're so excited. We're happy for you. Congratulations, blah, 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 blah. And she would go, I don't like my ring. And it's like, I mean, the hot air balloon is, we're soaring, buddy, on the emotional thing. And next thing you know, it's like just completely deflated. And you go, what?
Oof. God, I don't envy anyone in that sphere. I'm so glad to be married and like done with that aspect. At this point, it's not that hard for me to be like, oh, I mean, you were there when I took Rachel by and I was like, what do you like? And then I had to be like, Great. Will you go out to the car? I'm not doing anything. Like,
I'm not being obvious.
yeah. You know, she got tricked because she didn't realize that when I came out without a bag, I was like, I'd second guessed and all that. And so when I got her on Christmas, she had no idea.
Oh, that's awesome.
Awesome.
Great. Well, so we're going to take a quick break, but then when we get back, I want to talk about some of the things you've got coming up, some of those events, and talk a little bit more about how you decide on that. I know we touched in that last episode, but I want to kind of focus in on that. All right. Virginia's own treasure trove of elegance and craftsmanship, where every piece tells a story as unique as the individuals who wear them. That is Ed Ethel's Fine Jewelry. Ed Ethel's is here to help you celebrate your story with jewelry. As a cherished, family-owned and operated jewelry store, since the beginning they've been dedicated to curating a collection of exquisite jewelry that reflects their commitment to quality and style. Guided by their passion for creating cherished moments, they're thankful to have fostered long-lasting relationships with their valued customers, aiming to always offer a warm and welcoming environment where everyone feels like part of their family. For more information, visit edandethels.com. That's edandethels.com. Now, back to the episode. All right, we're back. And so, yeah, what's coming up in terms of your event, and how has that changed now that you've got that college age intern? You've got some of those other eyes on what you're doing for your marketing.
Well, do we want to go in chronological order or order of most importance?
Let's go order of most importance.
Okay.
Yeah, let's do that.
So that definitely would be our trip to Antwerp.
Yes.
That is
Antwerp, Belgium.
huge.
And you're getting on the plane the day after this episode airs, right?
Absolutely.
Yes. So if you were listening to this on October 2nd, we are packing and leaving tomorrow, but it is not too late for us to hand select your diamond.
And we can do it all virtual.
Okay.
You can actually be a part of it. We can FaceTime, bring you in. You don't even have to go into the store to make payment. It can all be done virtual via text. It's a really one of a kind experience where we will be going from supplier to supplier to supplier to hands pick the best value for that customer. So the way it would work, let's say you come in and you go, hey, Chase, I want to get Rachel a 1 carat round diamond and I want to spend X number of dollars. We would say, okay, perfect. We'll get a deposit. We will literally go and hunt for you the best diamond for the amount of money you want to spend.
Rachel, if you're listening, pause and we'll come back to this in 2 weeks. So how long will you be over there?
So we'll be shopping, was it 5 days?
Okay.
I think 5 days
Yep.
in Antwerp. Yes.
All right. So if you're listening to this after October 8th, you did miss it, but you can still come to the store and get. So you're going to be not just shopping for customer specific things. You're also going to be getting some other things that are going to go into your stock and everything.
We believe so.
Okay.
We believe so.
Yes.
We haven't nailed that down specifically. We are thinking about potentially bringing in a diamond or two for, engagement rings, things like
Yes.
that. But
It really depends on how much shopping we have to do for clients. Right. Okay. So if our time is taken up with looking for the perfect stones for people that have already made the decision to get an Antwerp diamond, then we won't have a lot of time left over for stock, but we hope to bring some back with us.
Yeah. My idea is to hopefully do some earrings. I think that would be really cool because that could be a great anytime gift, birthday, anniversary, Christmas, whatever the case may be, and be like, yo, Brooke and Chase and Ed and Ethel's went and picked these out just for our customers. Yeah.
So what makes this trip so special in the fact that no one else could do this?
So what's so special about this is, as far as the natural diamond market goes, the majority of all the world's natural diamonds that are mined pass through Antwerp, Belgium at some point before they get to their final destination at a diamond supplier. Normally, if we are going to find you a natural diamond, we have access to thousands online, right? So we can see videos, pictures, we can look at the specs, but we can't bring in even hundreds of diamonds to look at for you in person. We can bring in, let's say, 3 to 5. But in Antwerp, we will have physical access to thousands of stones.
Yeah.
So in our own hands, with our own eyes, we will be able to pick out the perfect stone for you among thousands.
Yeah. And the other thing too, I mean, we'll be cutting some steps out of the supply chain. So it'll be it might not be a great increase in value, but it will be an increase in value. I mean, I think it will be enough to where you'll go, well, I need to plan, maybe I want to upgrade 10 years from now. Then I need to plan like when they're going to Antwerp again, because then I can get maybe 10, 15, 20% more for my money by us going over there.
Okay. And these aren't places that anybody can just walk in, walk out, right? Like there's a lot of security that goes into it.
Yeah.
Yes.
We've heard some stories, man.
We have heard some stories. So you have to be pre-vetted. You have to be a part typically of a group of jewelers that sort of have power in numbers to be able to go and do something like this behind the scenes. And still, we have heard stories of an example is a jeweler was looking at some stones, didn't find what he loved, put everything back. He thought he was good to go. And before he had made it down to the next floor, security had him by the arms, 2 security officers taking him back upstairs and would not let him go until they had thoroughly looked at every diamond that he had been looking at and made sure, and then had a nice talking with him about never doing that again. So many security steps are in place.
Yeah, think of it like you were trying, I mean, if there were Fort Knox had gold in it, right? I think it used to. I don't know if it does anymore or not, whatever the case may be. But think if you were trying to go in there, but the gold bars were the size of a dime and very easy to conceal. Think of having to go there.
Yeah, I can imagine how intense that situation can get really quick. And so this also isn't something where you're going to land back in the United States and you've got like a little bag that's just full of diamonds, right? Like,
no,
that's in my mind every time. Like, I'm thinking
that would
like
be
jewelry
cool.
heist movie.
Man, that would be cool, wouldn't it?
That would be cool, but I would be a nervous wreck. I don't want to be
absolutely
shot.
You ship everything back. You got to pay duty and taxes and all that stuff. So that's part of the reason why the process of going is so in depth, because you want to have all of that stuff lined up before you get there. Hey, we're going to ship back this way. Hey, this is how much the duty is going to be when it's imported into the country. You want to have all of this stuff lined up so that way when your customer comes in, hey, you've got my Antwerp diamond. Oh, by the way, your diamond's stuck in customs because we didn't do the proper steps beforehand to get everybody prepared that, hey, this is how we're going about doing this.
And so with this kind of event or item that you're doing, is this something that you sought out? It was something that someone brought it to your attention first and then you looked at it? Or it was because you're associated with the organization, that knowledge was just already there?
Because we are a part of the Independent Jewelers organization, that is where the knowledge came from, that this was an option that we could provide for our clients. However, it was really our jeweler friends that helped us understand how important this was and how much of an impact it could make in our community.
We've been super fortunate, and I'm sure people have heard Brooke say this before, and we probably said it in the last episode, but we have got great friends and mentors in the industry that, you know, it's kind of strange because they're at the tail end of their career. Most of we make ourselves sound old here, but most of our friends are in their 60s, late 60s. Some of them are in their 70s, and they're, you know, pouring into us as the younger generation. And they're like, you guys need to do this. You guys should really do this. You know, have you thought about it? And finally, Brooke, of course, I'm the stubborn mule. I'm hard to convince to do things. But Brooke was like, we've got to do this. Like, it will be awesome. It'd be a great experience for us. It'd be a great experience for our clients. And I finally caved and we're doing it. And I really think it's going to be something that's super, super awesome.
And so Antwerp's the diamond place. Is there anything else for other places, other events like this that would be for sapphires, for emeralds, for rubies, those kind of things?
So I know a couple people that go to Africa to buy color. They do it once a year. They go on a 6-week trip and they do nothing but source color. You know, some people go to Madagascar. Years ago, Madagascar was believed to not have any colored gemstone, no gemstones, period. Well, all of a sudden, within the last 20 years, they've started to find stuff. Well, now they're finding crazy. They're finding everything. It's like just how They're finding sapphires, tanzanite. I mean, they're finding every gemstone you can think of. They're finding there. Whereas 20 years ago, they're like, there's nothing here.
Mm-hmm. And what other things do you have coming up that are going to be not as what was the thing you said earlier? Gosh, now it's gone from my head.
Chronological or order of importance.
Yeah, exactly. So it's the next order of importance. What is that going on?
They're all important, but I would say our Levion show, because we went
Yes.
from having 2 of those a year to we went to just 1.
Yes.
We're going to do 1 annual show. And this year, with the power of Brooke involved, we actually got a December show, which
Yes.
is really, really hard to do. It's December 12th. It's a one-day trunk show, and we're bringing in approximately $40 million in Levion Vault inventory, and it will be there for the one day. That's it. It's gone after that.
Wow.
A lot of limited run pieces, some one-ofs, but for the most part, it's a really special event. We have clients who only shop at that event on that day and do not shop the rest of the year.
That's a really cool thing. And December, is a holiday situation. That's awesome to see that.
Yeah, it doesn't get much better than that.
It's very exciting. And the reason we did that is because Levion is a very special product. Each of their pieces it's hand designed. Its stones are picked particularly for that piece. And Levion customers are known as Levion collectors, and the reason is because once you get one piece of Levion, you fall in love, and there's no way you don't get more. But because it is such a special gift, most of our clients want to gift it as a Christmas gift. So we decided to make that happen, that we could have that show in December, so we could bring in a whole store full of Levion for them to pick from.
Yeah, I mean, we carry Levion year round.
Okay.
We have an 8-foot selection of it. It's, gorgeous, stunning pieces. But these are what we call program pieces, meaning there are numerous that are made. It's, something that we can order. If we sell something, we can get a replacement for it. But these pieces at the show they're not that way.
I'm glad you described and explained what Levion was, because I knew it, but for anybody who didn't, that was helpful. And then you also mentioned something else to me earlier, and I've forgotten what it is, but it is not the Levion event. There's something else happening.
So in September, we're going to do this Kendra Scott launch party, right?
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah.
And then we'll also do a small repair clinic in September. And then October, we're going to Antwerp, which that'll pretty much occupy the whole month. November, we have our annual Black Friday event and Small Business Saturday, which will consist of items anywhere from, there'll be hot buys or doorbusters, whatever you want to call them. They'll start at between $6 and $8 and go up to $29. And then we'll also have some special financing options just for Black Friday and Small Business Saturday. And then we roll into Levion show is in December, and then of course Christmas.
All that stuff coming up. I mean, this is coming out October 2nd, but I already feel like when we're recording this, we're basically at Christmas.
Right. So we started
Crazy.
preparing at the beginning of this month and the last month, started preparing for the fourth quarter because it plays such a big role in our business.
Yeah. And do you have a certain quarter each year that this is going to be the slow part, that we aren't going to see much coming in?
Well, so any business owners who've started a business and grown it in those first few years will totally understand this. We do. But as you grow, things drastically change. And so for us, the summer is by far our slow time. This summer has not felt like that at all.
This summer has been like Christmas.
That's interesting.
It's been wild.
I would always assume that it's quarter one. Although I guess you still have quarter one. You've got Valentine's Day. You've got some of those major things. But I always feel like right after Christmas is when I see people really tighten that belt around the New Year. So what about the summer makes it more of the slow part? Is because there's not those big, events that people associate with jewelry.
So it's wedding season to a degree, right? So you have your anniversaries and things like that. But once people in their, what we call customer life cycle in jewelry, once you have kids, then you start going on family vacations. So that life cycle, you're not buying jewelry. You're taking kids on vacation. You're going to travel baseball or sports or whatever the case may be. So that right there is just an impact. But this year and we know tons of people that are traveling, but this year we have not. We've been busier than we've ever been during the summer.
And to tie that back into the first things we kind of talked about with that time management and family and everything, for you, what kind of impact does that have on how you plan out your summers typically? Is that where you're going to be going on more of these jewelry shows, all of that stuff? Or is the summer also kind of your time to kind of take your own time off, your all of that stuff?
Man, we don't ever slow down. Do you know my wife at all? That calendar is packed, dude. Packed. We went to 2 shows this summer.
Goodness.
We went to the Outer Banks for a week. We took extra days off to spend time with Lincoln. I mean, what else have we done? We've done a couple weekend trips. We went and saw some friends in Georgia, actually just this past weekend. So no, we don't ever slow down. We're always go.
But we're very similar to most people's schedule. When the summer is when we take our personal trips and vacations and things. But jewelry shows happen in the summer and they also happen in the spring. So they normally happen in between Valentine's Day and Mother's Day and then in the summer because those are the slower times in the industry.
And I'm going to cut Chase out here for a second. So, Brooke, you're on the Women's Leadership Committee planning for the conference next year.
Yes.
I want to talk about that real quick and knowing that as the time of this release, you'll have just done Wendy Glass's leadership conference as well. How does that impact what you do and what you're doing with your time versus what you're looking at for your business and everything as well?
Sure. It certainly adds to the plate. But it is so worth it. That all you ladies out there, if you have not attended that conference, I've only attended once and I feel this passionate about it. It's one of the best days of the year. It is a fabulous conference. It's so well ran and it's amazing to be in a room full of women who are experiencing the same things you are. They're business owners or they're, just high-powered business women, and they're also moms and their wives, and they're juggling all the things in life that we do, and it's just amazing to be around them for that whole day, immersed in nothing but focusing on learning and growing together. And next year's is going to be awesome. We already know it's going to be awesome.
I'm looking forward to. We know Wendy Pinnell is going to be the keynote speaker for that. Around this time, you'll start seeing things pop up about who our breakout speakers are going to be. So keep an eye on that. Buy those tickets. It'll sell out really quick. Last year with 350 people, I think we're hoping to hit 400 this year. So we'll see.
Yes.
Well, any last other pieces that you want to make sure people are aware of? Making sure that we tell them where they can find you, all of that information.
Yeah, so you can find us, of course, physically in the Spradlin Farm Shopping Center, 40 Spradlin Farm Drive. Online, you can find us at our website, edandethels.com, or Facebook and Instagram. And because you are listening to this on October 2nd, when we are leaving for Antwerp, you can reach us by our phone number directly to our cell phones. So if you're listening to this and you're going, whoa, wait a minute, I didn't know about Antwerp. I have a special occasion coming up. I want to get an Antwerp diamond, or I want an Antwerp pair of diamond earrings. Then you can call us or shoot us a text. So our phone number is 540-382-8673.
And if you're listening to this and you're going, oh, I really want my significant other to buy me one of those Antwerp diamonds, just share it directly to them.
Absolutely.
Make sure they listen. Well, thank you both for being here today. Thanks for chatting with me. Thank you, listeners, for checking in. We'll be back next week with another episode. But in the meantime, go out, invest, connect, engage, and prosper.